Good afternoon, distinguished the Director General of Civil Aviation of the Republic of Indonesia, Economic Officer of U.S. Embassy, Ms. Mita, Mr. Arman, Mr. Joe, Mr. Albert, Ms. Jill, and Mr. Greg. First of all, I would like to welcome all of you in this meeting up to April 2nd, 2007. As follows. The Director General of Civil Aviation, and the fourth one is closing. We are on first agenda.
TSA contingent here saw what they heard and what they read in reference to security conditions at Ngurah Rai International Airport. During and after this brief, we will not use the terms pass or fail. That's not how we characterize airport assessments here. We will only address specific security issues. We will not address the removal or continuance of the public notice posted in airports in the United States concerning this airport. The Secretary of Homeland Security determines the status of the public notice. And should the notice be removed, the Secretary will make the appropriate communications on this matter through the appropriate channels of communication. In other words, our part is to come here and take a look. And we're going to tell you about what we found here. Other people's part would be to process the paperwork. We can't tell you about how that will go because we're only involved in a part of it. The way that we'll do this is we're going to comment on what we saw on the last assessment that we performed. And that was the assessment in December 2005 that led to the public notification. We will cover the items on the card that we have previously showed you. And if you have a copy, and if you recall this STARS card, that's what we're going to use. And as we discuss the items, there are many of the items that we will say we saw no instance of a problem with that item. And then there are some items that will say we make a recommendation that you enhance your security measures. After we make that recommendation, we'll stop for a moment and turn it over to you for each specific recommendations to make a response on. That way we can record the response. That's the methodology that we'll use. We'll tell you what we saw, we'll tell you what we think about what we saw, we'll offer a recommendation, and then we'll pause so that you can tell us what you think about what we recommend. Everyone here from support from the United States. There are some areas that Armin and our side share. For example, under quality control, we both gather information because the airport does some quality control. How the quality control is implemented at the airport, we gather information on. And Armin reviews some of the programs associated with that. We've gathered some information, but we have to go back to our office, and what Armin's gathered and what we've gathered, we have to share. There may be additional information that we'll get later. So we won't comment on problems associated with that because we don't. And 3.44, we'll cover first what we consider under 4.3.3. And if you have your STARS card, it's mixing of screened and unscreened passengers was possible. and the last assessment, and starting off in August, we saw instances where passengers who might not have been screened appropriately mixed with passengers who were already screened. During this assessment, we have seen no instances of mixing between screened and unscreened passengers. We have seen no instances of a problem with this standard during this assessment. Under standard 4.3.1, which is screening of passengers and their cabin baggage, previously we saw that the bag search was not thorough enough, and when somebody alarmed a walk-through metal detector, that the resolution of that alarm was not adequate. At this time, during this assessment, we see no significant problem with this security measure being implemented. On 4.4.1, hold baggage screening. Under the previous assessment, we saw some problems with hold baggage screening. Under this assessment, we have seen no problems with hold baggage screening. Under 4.5.1, when you move the cargo from the facility to the aircraft, under the previous assessment, we saw cargo left unsecure. We haven't seen instances to find some things that we think you could benefit from enhancing your measures. So we're going to address that. The first one is on your airport security program. What we found is you needed to have it approved and that you needed to distribute it. We made that finding, but then you went out and had it approved right away. That's very good, that's bagus. We were very happy. And you socialized at this meeting, at this Airport Security Committee meeting this morning. Very good. One of the things that we would recommend is the appropriate portions of that program be shared, perhaps with more communication or even directly with other parties as need be. So it's good you socialized it, okay? The next issue, we had quite a bit of discussion on cargo security controls. We are not even in agreement ourselves about protocol has you post cargo guards to check people's badges, and you've determined that they should be at certain points. They should be, and that they should check people before they came in. A couple of times we saw in one warehouse where the guard was not in good position or was absent. So we would recommend that if this is your measure to control it, that you have a guard in position. One other thing we saw on cargo screening, as you test your machine to see if it can detect a bomb, you're putting certain items through it, like a combined test piece, you can get maximum exposure to the X-ray device. Additionally, and here's a discussion that we had at length today, some length, when you take a look at the cargo and to do additional manual inspections, you increase your security procedures. If you do more physical inspections on cargo, then your security posture will be increased. That's a recommendation that I believe you would benefit from. I'm going to pause here as I originally promised before I start going too quick.
We know that all that the prison condition is all processing that we are already make some effort that from we can say that there is a zero, now we go to the certain value that we know that maybe from your side there's still some have to be improvement that yeah, we committed that we are process and not this is not the end of the process. That is we will keep maintain that that you find that there is still some or lack condition. We promise that will be improved because it's also related with culture and that we try that first of all that we put the basic function first, that the ISP is a basic function. We already make a renewal and try to make a socialist with every institution that work in airport. After that, we also already make some improvement of the personnel that already done here. That before maybe we focus on the quantity, but now we start to the qualification of the personnel. I think that until right now, already almost 2 years, that we are working together, that you know very well what's already done here. And we wish that all here that is can bring you to the some assumption what's already put the Ngurah Rai Airport security plan. I think that is from my side.
I just involved in this security system a couple of weeks ago, and I have impression that we have difficulties to make a standard operating procedure followed by every member of security, and also to maintain every time continuously according to the standard operating procedure. And we have expect that this system or high standard security system implemented in Ngurah Rai Airport will be socialized not only within Angkasa Pura I, but also Angkasa Pura II, as well as another airport managed by Directorate General of Air Communication. I think it is a good time for us to step by step conducting the best practices and finally had a culture of security.
So the first one is under the new standard 4.2.1. Says that the contracting state shall ensure that access into airside is controlled in order to prevent unauthorized entry. Reason one we're recommending it has to do with key control. Keys should be controlled so that unauthorized people should not get them, use them, and in doing so interfere with aviation. So the team asked about an audit on the keys, and there hadn't been an audit done. And then the airport actually did an audit. Airport officials inventoried the hard and soft keys, and now they've established a baseline of what keys they have. We're recommending that they continue that audit on at least a quarterly basis, and if appropriate, more so. Reason two that we're recommending enhancement with this particular standard is that when you look at the fence material, there's some improvements that could be made in fence materials. Fences provide delay of about 10 or 15 seconds, like they might provide less delay time, and that reduces the airport's opportunity to detect potential intruders. Specifically on evidence, we're looking at the wooden fence that you have around the ILS area. We're also looking at the barbed wire fence that you used adjacent to the village, and the barbed wire fence that you use adjacent to the meteorological station and the temple located inside the airport. The secondary fence is made of barbed wire and it's easily penetrated. The secondary fence by the meteorological station, also made of barbed wire, is done that because the primary fence doesn't have a clear zone, and it's very hard to negotiate going down and cutting down the villagers' crops. So you've done that. So here's a solution that we're recommending. One other thing, there's a short fence over by gate 1 that's adjacent to the public fence, public beach. It's a little bit short. So we're recommending that you raise the short fence, determine a safe method of securing the wooden fence. And when we're saying that, we're not saying we want you to go out and replace the wooden fence with a steel fence. You should consult with your safety personnel to ensure that a safe method of fencing that area is done. And there's many people that your safety personnel can consult with. and you can do that if need be. For our folks, you can consult with Armin and can set you up with the FAA. You can also replace the barbed wire with standard fencing, and at a later time, if you want, we're willing to consult on that. Now, while the short fence, the barbed wire fence, and the wooden fence, right now they're guarded and controlled. Unauthorized access to airside areas and security restricted areas. Identity shall be verified at designated checkpoints before access is allowed to airside areas and security restricted areas. Well, to do that, you'll have to have show badges, okay? And what we've seen is some badges, the one area in the airport that has a badge display issue problem. 19 out of 107 people observed over the airport were not displaying IDs. That means a lot of people were, some people weren't, right? And those people that weren't were usually in the maintenance area. You know, people in the maintenance area don't like their IDs flapping out because they're afraid it might catch into something. That's what we usually hear. So what we've seen here now is the airport has posted an airport security guard over there at the maintenance section to encourage badge wear. And also, Mr. Albert has provided a photo of armbands that could be worn safely and the badge displayed clearly. Reason two, we think that this standard needs to be enhanced, is that when badges are displayed, they should have, for those people who have permanent, unescorted access into your security restricted area, they should have a photo that you can check the photo to the face. That's how you know, and you do like the standard says, you verify identity. And about 11 to 1,300 badges here are temporary badges. Some of those badges have been replaced, but some of those people have paperwork done, not just an administrative detail, because in doing so, then you find out, they also need the background check. That's very important, okay? So, at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Armin so that he can discuss some of the national information. And then he'll turn it back over to me and I'll wrap it up.
The 1,300 temporary passes is a result because of we keep maintain the standard or the qualification to get the pass is have to be follow up. That means that we can declare that because the institution still does not fulfill the clarification, we distribute the temporary, but only the limited time, only 1 month. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The official or authorized personnel.
Yes, but many of these people.
Writing, because I sort of don't like just to sit here in a chair. It's a little bit difficult for me in my style and how I present it. That's okay with you all here. That'd be okay? Great, thank you.
And I do promise to speak loudly so you all can hear. Is it helps me organizationally put some things together so you can see. And as Joe said, my area would be to focus on those national level areas at the ministry, within the Director General's office, the Director of Air Safety, and Ian Erlanda's section chief for the security section there itself. Now, we take a look here on what used to be former 3.1.1, which is still 3.1.1, which is your National Civil Aviation Security Program. When we came here in August 2005, we discovered that you had a fairly consistent and well-prepared, and I've learned your process from a regulation standpoint and how those things work. So some of the areas that we had concerns with, which dealt with your training program and your quality control, you have issued new ministerial decrees to issue those areas. They're saying the right things, but the problem, it's not a problem, but it's like any document. We can say the right things, which you have to start with from a regulation, and then you have to shift and walk over to this side and say, okay, operationally, how are you going to implement those measures? So it's one thing to say you're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, but the real tough part is the operational side, making sure it actually happens. And that challenge is for any country or Ministry of Communications / Transportation. I apologize because on some business cards, it translates to communications. Some business cards says transportation. And I think you'll know what I refer to here. My concern is this, and I will speak to you because I joined security in 1990 with air traffic control, aircraft safety, flight standards, and believe it or not, once we got elevated, the entire FAA's R&D, research and development budget for security was greater than any other element in FAA. So for a small group of people, we were able to put together the right things, make the right requests, and start getting money and resources where we knew we needed to put them. This is my concern when I look at your all's ministry. I see that you've got your director here of aviation safety. And my comments here are nothing against the positions themselves. It's functionally that I'm talking about. And then you have a position for a deputy director, I believe, for security and emergency services. I hope this marker isn't a permanent one. If it is, I offer my sincere apologies because we did take them from up here. So I should have asked before I started using them, but anyway. And then underneath this position, this is where you have, I believe, a branch or section for aviation security. While organizationally you've got a group to address what you need, I'm gonna offer you my advice, my guidance, as Joe was calling it, ways to improve, ways to enhance. Any government, it is always difficult to reorganize staffing, resources, or money. It's never an easy thing. And I've been through it, I'm sure you all have been through it, and it will continue for many years to come. But for your country, you have over 140 airports. You have an office here at the national level composed of approximately, I believe, between 9 and 12 personnel. Is that roughly correct? Yeah. Now, that being correct, I have to ask you, how can 9 or 12 people cover such a large country and so many areas? You've got the areas functioning that security must cover from a national level. I'll put them up here. Policy, intelligence coordination, training. And when I use the word training here, I don't necessarily mean you have to be the instructors. What I'm talking about is at the national level, you could establish what we call a curriculum or a syllabus and say, okay, this is what we want covered, and then you hand that to another organization like your training facility to develop the actual courses and classes that are needed. You also have operational areas. International coordination. That part has grown so large, I would say, in the last 10 or 15 years, that with people traveling everywhere around the world, airfares have become quite more reasonable than they used to be. Some now, because of the fuel prices, their fares have gone up. But these are a lot of areas you've got to cover. And let's talk about a group, independent, within this area, that's going to do your quality control work, your tests, your audits, your inspections at the national level. So help me understand, in order to do all the, well, I didn't even put down technical matters. I'm sorry, let's say technology. Okay? Now, you put all that together and ask yourselves a real good question. How can 9 or 12 people cover all these areas? My experience, I have found high professionals. I have found nothing less than that in my interaction with the ministry. So my compliments to your ministry in that regard, and my experiences at the national level within the transportation. But I'm being very realistic here. How can 9 or 12 people effectively cover these areas and be located in a location such as this when they're trying to compete with other priorities? Because under each one, dates that you did these things, number one. So I want to see dates. Second, I want to see what was the objective of each of those on a specific date. What was your objective? Was the test focused, let's say, for testing checkpoint security on that date? Was it for access control? What was the objective of that test? 3, we would like to hear about your findings. positive or negative, whatever it may be. We're not only looking for the bad, we're not looking for the good, we're looking for real life. In real life, in every country, we've got the good and we've got the bad. We've got the devil. The devil is always hiding and waiting to pop up. We sometimes call it Murphy's Law too in the engineering sense, but that person is always waiting to come out at any time. It challenges us each and every day. I would like to see how that data from the findings are being recorded and analyzed. If you can put this into a computer database, simple as access, not a problem. You don't have to go to Oracle or SQL or anything of that nature, but you have a simple database, you can do what we call trend analyses. So that way, as leaders and as managers and directors, you can say, is this problem a one?
Really picked up that keen security sense and applied it here. And we thank you for all you've done. It's made a big difference in the program. So thank you, sir. I recognize Mr. Chadi, who's done a lot on the security program, and he's come here, and he hasn't worked here at the Guru-Rai that long, but his presence has made a big difference, and we thank him too for what he's done. His assistant, Donnie, has always been there with us, has always helped us, and he has been a vital communications link. Without Donnie there to communicate things, I might have not known what you meant, and you certainly wouldn't have known what I meant. So thank you very much.
Donnie, stand up, please.
Hey, Donnie. Okay. There's members here on this team that have put forth a lot of effort and who worked through adversity. And one of them is Armin. Armin's been very ill throughout this week, but he stayed here and he stayed on the program because his heart is invested in what's going on here. So we thank Armin. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much.
This meeting, I am very glad to be here, seeing all of you, and also I am very honored, great honor to participate in this meeting, and great appreciation for all members of TSA, as well as all our colleagues from Indonesia who already are working together. I am proud of you because you already work hard and get the progress significantly. As we know that the aviation security regime is the highest priority to every contracting states to be improved and implemented. According to ICAO Annex 17 on safeguarding international civil decree that we already prepared previously, I realized that not easy to have the concept of safety, security without any compliances, because again, the devil lies at detail, but also the devil lies in the compliances, and it is our responsibility. I am as a Director General of Air Communication, the new one, just only a couple weeks. I think without help and assistance of all of you, it is not easy to be realized. But in contrary, if we can work together, we will have opportunity to realize our dream, as told by Armin, that even in the United States, decade ago, had a similar problem with Indonesia, how to come up with a great idea and to realize become a big joke. Ladies and gentlemen, in my perspective, the assessment as well as reassessment has been just accomplished by the TSA team that done since August 2005 up to April 2007 is a part of the mechanism to do quality control, which is very useful for knowing the deficiencies and improving it sooner. We believe that after this assessment, the airport security system at Ngurah Rai Airport will be always maintained on the compliance of the security program. And I will encourage all of you who work in Ngurah Rai that this airport will become a benchmarking of Indonesian airport. And I hope in the near future we can have a core team to socialize what the achievement of this airport. Ladies and gentlemen, in the further action we are programming to categorize the security system of all international airports in Indonesia. And we hope through this program we are able to encourage the airport operator and related entities to improve their security system so that it can prevent the acts of unlawful interference to the civil aviation. Finally, we hope that what we have already done until now is on the right track, and wishing God bless us. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Santi Santi.
That's all of our meeting. And the end of the meeting, thank you for all of you for coming this meeting.
Ini assessment dilakukan berdasarkan IQ Annex 17, jadi Aviation Security. Dan untuk pencegahan terjadinya misalnya apakah itu teror, apakah itu pelanggaran hukum di airport maupun di pesawat.
Apakah ada kaitannya dengan hal-hal pariwisata Pak sehingga Bali dipilih?
Karena Bali dipilih kebetulan ada airline dari Amerika yang mampir dari Guam, mampir ke Bali, kemudian kembali ke Amerika. Karena ini merupakan satu kerjasama bilateral dua negara. Dan Bali sekiranya tepat, karena Bali itu juga tempat turis, ya. Bali itu juga tempat yang harusnya bisa menjadi contoh supaya terjamin keamanan dan keselamatan.
Oh ya, sedikit lagi terkait tentang penempatan pilot di pesawat Garuda yang kecelakaan di Jakarta. Sejauh mana kebenaran
Itu yang mengumumkan kan dari KNKT. Biar KNKT yang jawab. Ya.
Enggak dari
Tadi yang Komite Nasional ya, tadi yang bicara organisasi itu ada komite penyusunan organisasi itu UUD itu sudah dimasukkan rekor.
Itu agak urgent, jadi tolonglah itu. Ini bukan satu hal yang sepele, tapi kita harus membangun opini masyarakat. Dan itu hanya bisa kalau dengan dikerjakan oleh ahli humas. Gitu.